I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the research paper and hopefully easing those of you who haven't started, who haven't picked a topic yet, hopefully easing you into it. The paper will be about 7 to 10 pages. That's just to give you a rough idea. I certainly don't count the number of pages and give you a grade based on that. I do want a rough draft, and I think that's an important part of the process. And the most important part of the process is choosing your topic. That it should be something you're interested in. I think you'll write a better paper that way, and I think it'll be hopefully even a little bit enjoyable. It does need to relate in some way to American politics because that's the class. Am I expecting you to write a fair and balanced paper, or are you allowed to put your point of view? You should use this paper to argue for your conclusions. In fact, that's a good organizing structure. But in order to do that, you have to take the other side's views and the other side's arguments. You have to take them seriously. Otherwise, you run the risk of somebody reading your paper and not being convinced because they feel like there are some very obvious counter-arguments. So you don't have to pretend you agree with the other side's arguments, but you should present them accurately so that you can evaluate them and show why you believe it's helpful to frame your topic as a question. I do need to prove your topic, but really the only time I find myself saying no to students is when, and this happens frequently, when somebody has a topic that is just too big. I'm requiring you to use at least 4 sources, but I think most people will want to use more, maybe even in some cases a lot more. What I'm trying to avoid is the situation that many of us have found ourselves in the past. I know when I was first doing research papers, I get pretty much all my information from one book, maybe an encyclopedia, write the paper on the basis of that, and then at the last minute I would throw in as many sources into the bibliography as the teacher had required. That's not what I want you to do. What I want to do is actually to convince you that it's worth it, that it's helpful to use more sources. Similarly, while I'm requiring you to use at least one scholarly source, my real objective is to convince you how helpful scholarly sources can be. The best way to find a scholarly source, I think, start by logging in from our portal, that is the SUNY Ulster portal, and go to the library. Click on the library tab, the purple-blue library tab on the upper left. Go to the search bar under Discover DeWitt. And before you do your search, make sure you check the box peer-reviewed. For our purposes, when you check the box peer-reviewed, whatever comes up, we're going to consider a scholarly source. Why should you love to use scholarly sources? The cynical reason is because almost any professor you're going to have will really want you to do so. We love academic journals, but there are less cynical reasons to like using journal articles. If you happen to transfer to a four-year university, you'll discover that there are many, many, many professors who are unaware that there are students on campus and basically spend as much of their time as possible doing research. Now, that may be bad for education, but what it's good for is for you when you're doing a research paper. However specific your search is, however specific your topic is, there is sure to be some academic who have done research on that topic. And that means that if you're not finding anything, or if you're finding sources but they aren't perfect, probably you're just not looking in the right way. Message me about it, and probably we can figure it out together. Talk to one of the reference librarians in the SUNY Ulster Library, or better yet, do both of them.